Religion causes war. This is a claim made by many modern skeptics and atheists. This claim is used to dismiss faith, to condemn it, to paint belief in God as not only irrational but dangerous. But is this claim really true? If we care about the truth, we must examine this claim with facts, not assumptions. We need to weigh history, not make rumors about it. We must ask if religion is truly the leading cause of war, or have we mistaken the tool for the hand that wields it? According to the Encyclopedia of War, of the 1,763 major conflicts fought in human history, only about 123 of those were actually rooted in religious nature. That's about 7%, which, don't get me wrong, that's still a pretty high figure, but that still means that the other 93% were caused by something other than religion. And of those religious wars, many of them weren't even Christian. Many were tribal, pagan, or rooted in religious doctrine completely alien to the teachings of Jesus Christ. So, what actually caused these other wars? Have always fought over land. Borders drawn in blood. Empires built on conquest. Napoleonic Wars were fueled by the ambitions of one man, a man who wanted to control Europe, not convert it. The Napoleonic Wars had about 3 to 6 million casualties. The Mexican-American War was rooted in expansionism, not evangelism, and it had about 35,000 casualties. The Russo-Japanese War was about the control of the Korean Peninsula and the Manchurian region of China. Economic and imperial interests, not theology. Territory has driven far more armies and caused far more wars than any holy book ever has and ever will. Power corrupts people, and the thirst for it, that causes war. World War I, for instance, one of the deadliest wars in human history, with an astonishing 40 million casualties. This war was not caused by scripture, it was caused by a bullet in Sarajevo, tangled alliances, and empires desperate to retain dominance. It is this very war that brought war innovations such as the tank, or airplanes being used in combat. It is this very war that started out the 20th century as the most brutal century known to man. It brought the Great Depression, which led to World War II, which led to the Cold War. Without this war, the 20th century would not have been nearly as bloody, and we would not have brought innovations such as nuclear arms into the world. The American Civil War was not about religious dogma. It was about the institution of slavery, economics, and state rights. This war had about 650 to 850,000 estimated deaths. And then you have battles like the Battle of Gettysburg, which had somewhere around 46,000 to 51,000 total casualties in that battle alone. The Roman civil wars were struggles between Caesar, Pompey, Octavian, and Antony. These conflicts were not faith versus faith, but rather man versus man for the throne of Rome. The Roman civil wars are often credited with having multiple hundreds of thousands to even multiple millions of casualties in some cases. When two different cultures collide, sadly, bloodshed often follows. Many ethnic conflicts have left scars in humanity, some of which still have not been fully healed to this day. The Rwandan genocide saw nearly 1 million Tutsis slaughtered by the Hutus, not for their religious beliefs, but for their bloodline. The Yugoslav wars followed the fall of communism, igniting ethnic hatred between groups such as the Serbs, Croats, and Bosniaks. This conflict in the Balkans region of Europe is credited with having somewhere between 100,000 to 140,000 deaths. Now, many may not agree with me on this, but I would argue that the Israel-Palestine conflict is not religious, but rather roots back to land, displacement, and colonial legacy left over from the British and the Ottoman empires. This conflict is sadly one that still happens today, one that is increasingly escalating by the day. This conflict has happened time and time again ever since Israel's independence back in 1948. Money is a god that many have died for. The Opium Wars, for instance. The British invaded China to force an opium trade with them. I can assure you that there was no religion seated at that table. In total, both of the Opium Wars killed about 50,000 people. This war was not rooted in religion, but in economic gain. The Anglo-Boer War was fought by the British to obtain South African diamonds and gold. The Persian Gulf War was fought by Iraq invading Kuwait for its oil profits, which ultimately led to Operation Desert Storm. In total, both of these conflicts had about 115,000 casualties. These wars were not holy wars, they were profiteers' wars. Some wars are fought over ideas or visions for society. The Russian Revolution was fought by the Marxists to overthrow the Tsars in favor of Marxism. This movement did not embrace religion, but rather eliminated it and outlawed it. The Vietnam War was a war about communism versus capitalism, not Christianity versus Buddhism. The Chinese Civil War was fought between the nationalists and the communists. Many died, but not in the name of religion. In fact, the bloodiest regimes of the 20th century, Mao, Stalin, Pol Pot, they were actually strictly atheistic. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that atheism starts conflict, because I'm not going to argue that religion does not, just to turn around and say that atheism does. That would make me a hypocrite. Now, don't get me wrong, I am very aware that wars have been fought in the name of Christianity. The Crusades, the Inquisition, and the 30 Years' War. The Crusades were launched in the name of Christianity, but were often twisted by political and territorial ambitions. The Inquisition targeted many Jews in the name of Christianity, and the 30 Years' War started as Protestants versus Catholics, but later became something more than that. It became a political and a territorial war. Now, that being said, Christianity has not gone without its persecution. The early church was persecuted and did not fight back. The apostles were martyred, not militarized. The teachings of Jesus Christ directly oppose these actions. So what actually causes war? It is not religion alone. It's not even atheism alone. It's us. The human condition, pride, greed, fear, the desire to dominate. We blame religion because it's visible, but remove religion, and the wars still rage. History proves that quite clearly. When faith is genuine, it humbles, it heals, and it forgives. When it is twisted by politics and pride, it burns. Thank you for watching, and God bless. I pray that you all have a good day. So, does religion cause war? Now, sometimes it does, but only when it's corrupted. I would argue that the wars are not caused by the hammer, but rather the hand that wields it. Far more often, religion is used as a voice of peace, a call to conscience, a refuge for the suffering. Before we condemn faith, let us condemn the real enemy, the unrestrained heart of man. Truth matters, and in a world full of noise, it deserves to be heard.